Tuesday, the 15th of April, 2025. And my God, I was up early again, like 4 a.m. That's what happens when you don't drink and don't have a hangover. Yeah, there's no reason to stay back in bed. Anyway, before I get into this video, which people have to watch, I'm going to actually revert to notes I just made because it seemed that people were really interested in the connection of the original sins or seven deadly sins and the connection to so many other things. I just want to make sure that you can see this. Yes, you can. Okay, good. All right, so I'll go back to the document here. So it took me a lot of time with Chat GPT and Google and stuff like that to actually fix this and get this correct. And but we made it. And so I'm going to go by sin, planet, color, day, chakra, and tarot card. And so when you talk about pride as the one of the seven deadly sins, it's connected to the sun or Leo. Leo, you've got the pride, and the color is violet or purple. The day of the week is Sunday or dimanche. It's associated with the crown chakra, and the tarot card that's connected with this with pride is the sun. If you go off of the original Rider White or other traditional tarot card decks, it does have the sun and the moon. And so there are people that would suggest that the Leo, the sun, could also be connected or correlated with strength in the tarot cards. And you'll see on the strength card, there's actually a woman and she has a lion. And so, sure, I mean, so there's multiple different theories, but this is just what I think to be the closest. So then you've got envy. And by the way, fire, water sign, I believe, or air. Anyway, I'll get back to that. But anyway, envy, moon, Cancer, connected to the color. See, it's wrong again. This friggin' ChatGPT sucks. Indigo or blue, connected to Monday or lundi, loon, connected to Monday or the moon. Connected to the, no, see again. Or the third eye. And the moon card. So I'm going to go over this again because I'm going to go to ChatGPT again and say, like, why do you suck so much? Wrath is connected to Mars, and and Mars rules over Aries and Scorpio. And again, the color connected, like, I'll show you my conversations with ChatGPT was getting so frustrating because I'm like, you're wrong again. Yellow. Yellow, the color of caution, attention, warning. Tuesday, mardi, you've got the Mars in there. Aries connected with the Ram, arise. There's so much things I could talk about, but Tuesday, Wrath Mars connected to the third chakra, which is the solar plexus. So yes, right. And the Tower, sure, that's one theory. You've got greed connected with Mercury. And Gemini and Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Blue is the color connected with that, yes. Wednesday, or mercredi in French, which is similar to Mercury, connected to the throat chakra, yes. And the Magician, sure. Gluttony is connected to Jupiter, which rules over Sagittarius and Pisces. The color orange, correct. Thursday or Thursday, or jeudi, correct. Sacral chakra, yep, that's correct. Jupiter, yep. So that's the second chakra. You've got Lust, Venus. I don't know why they have that in this order. Taurus and Libra, yes, that's correct. The color connected with Venus is green. Friday, vendredi, vert, green is vert en français in French. Connected to the, I keep on saying it too. I'll show you my Chat GPT conversations. I keep saying, no, Venus, it's the heart chakra. And they were trying to say, ChatGPT kept on saying as well that Saturn was connected to the crown chakra. No. Sloth is connected to Saturn, rules over Capricorn and Aquarius. The color red, yes. Rouge, Saturday, samedi, that's right. The root chakra, that's right. And the devil. The devil is the tarot card connected to Capricorn. And like I said, Saturn rules over Capricorn and Aquarius. And so even with like the connection of the devil and Satan, it's even in like when you make these connections. And so again, there's other theories out there, and there's so many other connections with that. Hey, oh yeah, okay, it's up. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Neurobella, and you're up early as well. And yeah, so I can go on about this, but there's so many other connections I can make from multiple different ancient civilizations and cultures, and it's talking about the same creation origin stories. There's very very similar connections with like certain numbers and symbols, and the path that the luminaries take, these specific luminaries take within the Maserat or the Masalot or the zodiacal belt on a daily and annual basis. And even in the Bible, you know, when you look at Genesis and the creation story there, it's very much laid out with the two great lights and then the other stars or luminaries. But now on to leaked CSIS reports. This was very interesting. It's not very long. And the title is Leaked CSIS Report Warned Liberals Poilievre Destroys WEF Globalist Puppet Mark Carney. I do have concerns with Pierre Poilievre and some of the messaging that he's pushing. And he's still not addressing key issues that should be concerning Canadians. I understand that he's trying to play moderate liberals and people that view very much leftist propaganda media still, and so he's trying to leverage that, but like he's not been outspoken at all about various different cases like the Coots trials, like Helen Gruss, like Tamara Lich, Roman Babar, Pat King, and countless others heroes. James Top not being vocal about that, and about independent journalists that are going out trying to report and do their jobs, getting attacked by protesters and cops watching and allowing this to happen, and saying that they're the ones that were creating events when in fact they were the ones that were just reporting on significant events that were happening that should be reported. But I'm rambling, and so I'm going to share this video.
Group of globe-trotting experts that can tell us how to live our lives, that can, who can tell us which industry should go up and which should go down, what cars we should drive and what words we should speak and how our money should be spent.
The fact that no one in the Liberal Party or even their supporters can see how absolutely embarrassing this is, I want to say leaves me at a loss for words, but I'm also quite upset and frustrated over it. So that kind of, cancels out the loss for words, because it turns out I have a lot of thoughts on this subject matter. I'm Jasmine Lane. This is Over Opinionated. Subscribe, follow, like, and comment your thoughts down below. Mark Carney came out of hiding today and immediately got grilled, and then also called Pierre Poilievre dangerous. And there's some things happening right now within the Liberal Party that really makes you question their morality and question who exactly it is they are aligned with, because I don't think it's the general public of Canada anymore. Mark Carney might want to go back into that hole, by the way, after some more details have emerged about his relationship with China. That one that he said doesn't exist. I don't know who those guys are. This is a very juicy episode, and I have a lot of opinions on it.
Yes, because this is now goes to the question of what is the tone inside that Liberal war room that people are out pulling stunts like this. And frankly, I think Mr. Carney's response, well, there was no response from Mr. Carney. There was a response on behalf of the campaign. Is this the kind of campaign that they want to do? And how many of the other sort of Trumpy things that have been going on in this campaign will be traced back to the Liberal war room? I don't think we have a clear picture of that yet. Look, campaigns are a rough contest between two competitive teams here, but there's just no excuse for this sort of thing. And I was a bit surprised the Liberals didn't cut loose whoever was involved in this sort of thing.
I really don't know what part about Buttongate is more outrageous to me. The fact that Mark Carney claims he's running a positive campaign. What? Or the fact that the two people involved in distributing these buttons to mislead, lie, and create propaganda for people to use against the Conservative Party were not fired. No, they were simply given a new job.
Since the Wednesday night incident, the Conservative supporters who showed up at a Brampton, Ontario rally on Wednesday with the T-shirts and the signs, "Do you believe the polls?" sowing doubt, distrust of the polling results that have the Liberals ahead of the Conservatives in many races. That's dangerous. I mean, the next day...
Could somebody please clarify to me what is dangerous about private citizens?
She used to be so good, and then she just sold out. I don't understand it.
Voicing their opinion on something based on there not being an accurate reflection of what they are seeing and hearing versus what they are being told to believe. I don't personally know what the danger is in that at all, actually. And it's not even remotely close. And it's funny how they try to paint it that way inside of that CBC clip there, because they were trying to paint it in the same light as what the Liberals did. No, that's not. No, that's actually just nothing. There's no comparison there at all. One is private citizens, a small group of them who are questioning something. The other is an active, deliberate attempt to smear the Conservatives and plant evidence. What?
And Trump was on our minds and on our phones and on our television screens all week long. And I think that's the essential part. And then when they are getting a moment of airspace on their own, what is he doing? He's having a Trumpy-like talkback with a female reporter, Poilievre, or he's holding giant rallies that evoke Trump, feel like Trump, smell like MAGA, and they actually have people with sweatshirts that say, "Don't believe the polls." Now, there's a confident message. Don't believe the polls. We're not losing. Don't measure the size of our vote. Measure the size of the hall. It's if this was supposed to be the week where they were making an adjustment and a move, it has not shown up.
Before I absolutely blow your mind with some of the things I have found about Mark Carney, Donald Trump, and China, of which I take no credit for, by the way. This reporting, all of this investigative work comes directly from Sam Cooper. He runs a website called The Bureau that is phenomenal. You can sign up to them. They have email newsletters and everything. And he has been the one who's been sounding the alarm on this for a very long time, actually. But before we get there, can we take a moment to just reflect how absolutely embarrassing it is that full-grown adults on public news channels are calling conservative supporters and the Conservative Party far right, MAGA. I've had 45-year-old women call me a maggot, which I presume is to mean maggot. Like, that is so cringy. And it reminds me so much, like, do you remember when Facebook first came out? And everybody's all excited. And I'm 28. So when that first happened, I was very young. And when I get those memories that will say, 12 years ago on Facebook, and it's a status that I wrote when I was a child, basically, I just feel nothing but embarrassed, because it'll say things, as an example, like RAR, XOX, I like dinosaurs. I was emo. I don't know. It was a thing back then where we were obsessed with dinosaurs, I guess, and saying "rar." It was so embarrassing, though. But I see those and I'm like, oh, let's remove that from the internet. Why don't we? And it's like mass delete all of these things whenever they come up. And I wonder if this Donald Trump rhetoric and narrative that liberals are running with will maybe be like the 10-year memory reminder from Facebook, where 10 years from now, they're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I called that woman a maggot. What? Like, that's so embarrassing that was even in my vocab. Oh my gosh. Let's really break this down, though. They are calling you a MAGA, a traitor, a far right for expressing your democratic right in preference of a perfectly legal democratic political party, and smearing the United States for doing the exact same thing. And they say, oh, it's such a threat to our democracy, even though I am actually attacking democracy right now because you didn't pick the guy that I liked. And even though it's in another country, I'm still going to shame you because you don't hate him as much as I do. Like, let's just really think about that one. Yeah, sure. Conservatives are negative and divisive, and you're right. Mark Carney is certainly running a very positive campaign, as he claims he is. Having to hear this level of childish behavior on the daily, though, was my least favorite part of high school. So it's very disappointing that the Liberal Party and mainstream media, predominantly CBC, has brought back that rhetoric. Though there's some new things coming to light now that, I think they might be doing it on purpose.
I believe that Mr. Carney is trying to get a free ride. He got a lot of momentum at the beginning of the campaign, and they tried to hide him as much as possible, which seems to be pretty easy because he seems to be quite preposterous. I believe that Canadians will do the same as Quebecers do, but they will make their own answers about it. It's not mine to interfere.
We have some absolutely epic footage coming up, by the way, from Pierre Poilievre in a recent interview, as well as some press conferences. But I did want to point you to this, because this is very, very important. A secret 2021 CSIS bulletin. By the way, CSIS gets less money from the federal government than CBC does, fun fact, warned that Chinese consular officials in Canada plan to interfere in future federal elections by portraying conservatives as Trump-like and anti-immigrant, aiming to turn Chinese Canadian voters against them. The strategy included fear-mongering about potential conservative policies that could harm Chinese students and immigrants. CSIS noted that Beijing viewed Chinese immigrants as relatively easy to manipulate to serve its geopolitical goals. And, as we now know, a further development here, Liberal operatives were recently caught planting fake Stop the Steal buttons at a conservative event to paint Pierre Poilievre's campaign as extreme, an act eerily similar to the tactics outlined in the CSIS report.
I have absolutely no idea.
And China has been trying to mold public opinion involving Mr. Carney.
And China has shown incredible leadership.
Operations in China become more integrated internationally, and we need data to be able to flow.
We are aware of an information operation targeting the 45th general election on the social media platform WeChat.
In the United States, the FBI has taken this really, really seriously. They've arrested people, they've charged people. Nothing has happened here in this country.
And they just put 100% tariff on Canada, and Carney hasn't said a word.
One of the many strengths of China is their perspective.
We see China's leadership there in deployment of AI tech.
Talking weeks ago, took out an enormous $250 million loan for BlackRock from the Chinese government.
I have absolutely no idea.
So, as we can imagine, this is a pretty major revelation, especially given the fact that Mark Carney has said that he has no relation whatsoever to the Chinese Communist Party. No, I don't know anybody from those organizations that I was photographed with who wrote an entire op-ed about how my involvement with them was going to be so great for China-Canada relations. I don't know what you're talking about. And the whole time they've said, oh, foreign interference is such a threat from Russia and the conservatives. Those are the guys. While also knowing about this report from CSIS that would have been sent to the Trudeau government. Mark Carney was advising them, by the way, around this same time frame, about foreign interference and foreign influence that is now actually being mirrored in domestic political campaigns, mirrored and hyped up by the federal funded CBC of all places.
Governor Pan, Governor Joe, distinguished guests, it's a great pleasure to join the BOAO Forum to offer a few reflections on the evolution of financial cooperation. In the spirit of BOAO, our priority for financial cooperation should be to work together to develop first voluntary guidelines and then formal standards in order to finance that transition. And this will clearly not be possible without Chinese leadership. I very much welcome the PBOC's leadership on transition finance in the G20, just as it led to the creation of the NGFS of central banks and supervisors. And I would very much welcome greater Chinese participation in GFANZ as authorities deem appropriate in order to shape this critical agenda.
I don't know what the end result is here. My brain theorizes two things: that either A, they're fully in on it, aware, and know exactly what's going on and are using it to their advantage, which would also make a lot of sense because Mark Carney doesn't want to build pipelines. He does want to have a green economy, which has been unproven throughout history. I just had an awesome interview with Desiree Fixler. She is a World Economic Forum and ESG whistleblower, if you want to check that out, where we talked about that at length. But statistically speaking, data speaking, there is absolutely no way in hell that you're ever going to grow your economy by not investing in your natural resources, which Carney reiterated again last night when he was on that French TV show that he was not going to be doing. And China benefits from that, by the way, because if you are ever curious about, man, where do all of those like clean, green energy tech things come from? They come from China. They are predominantly manufactured in China. So obviously, if you are pushing all of that stuff, you know that we do not have manufacturing for that in Canada. So you know you're getting it from China. And this has been Mark Carney's like entire life, has been pushing net zero, climate change, the green agenda. That has been his everything. Obviously, he knows that I think it's like 92% of all of the products and equipment and stuff for solar panels, for windmills, are all manufactured in China. Or B, they got the CSIS report and they thought, dang, that's a pretty good idea, actually. We should use that against the Conservatives in the upcoming election. You know, we already got our whole public into the elbows up mentality amidst the pandemic era. Let's just try that again and look at how successful it has been. Now, of course, this is an allegedly moment because who knows what the end results will be, but it certainly makes you wonder.
Well, first and foremost, free speech. I would repeal C11. That's the censorship law, which gives extraordinary powers to the CRTC to control what content is seen, to boost certain types of content that they deem to be Canadian in nature, although there's no real definition of that, and then discourage other content. And I think that will, over time, be a surreptitious way of trying to manage the debate in favor of what the government wants people to see. I would repeal that entirely. We need to look at the internet and the rise of social media differently than this government. They think that having too many voices is a threat. I think it's an opportunity.
But it is a threat if you are looking for more control. I posted a video on Instagram and TikTok not terribly long ago where I had highlighted the very big differences between Anna Poilievre and Diana Carney. And of course, you know, that's not who's running for the country, but I do really think that it is so valuable to get to know the woman behind the man, so to speak, because you can learn a lot about that man if you get to know the woman. And as an example, Anna Poilievre has lived her entire life focusing on things that actually really matter, that are about empowerment and speaking up on really awful things that happen in the world and loving your country while also knowing when to call things out because something's gone awry. And it's about freedom, really. That's like everything she stands for is freedom. And Diana Carney, as an example, much similar to her husband and also their daughter, Cleo, their entire life has been about control, government control. We want to have more control so that we can profit. That is the whole motivation behind GFANZ. That is the whole motivation behind all of this stuff. We don't want to unlock Canada's economy. We want to hinder it and have control over it so that we can charge carbon credits and these other things that help us, so that we can charge the carbon tax, even though it doesn't work. It's more control on your life because, as they said, even with the carbon tax as an example, they wanted to essentially pressure you out of certain behavior. So they want to make it as inconvenient as possible so that you stop doing something. And today, those alliances and priorities were made so much clearer because Pierre Poilievre had said that he wants to crack down on crime. Great. I think every single person living in the real world agrees. And Mark Carney was asked about that. So was Jugmeat saying, I have to play you that clip too. And here was his response to it. And it just makes you think like, dude, who are you here for? Like, honestly, who are you protecting? Why is this your priority?
Pierre Poilievre announced today he would use the notwithstanding clause to push through his tough on crime agenda. Is there any case you'd invoke the clause to override the charter?
I think this is a very dangerous step. We have a charter of rights and fundamental freedoms in this country, and it's the responsibility, in my view, of the Prime Minister, of the Government of Canada to defend that charter, those fundamental rights and responsibilities and liberties that Canadians enjoy. Politicizing certain issues with respect to fundamental rights is a slippery slope.
which is so bizarre coming from the guy who lies a lot and does not like being questioned about it and wants to ban social media platforms from Canada for mis and disinformation, even though they have community notes and fact checkers on those exact same platforms. And this, again, in response to Poilievre saying he wants there to be a 3-strike policy, for Poilievre saying that people shouldn't have house arrest, that they should repeal the bail policies that we have that have been disastrous. What is he even talking about? And who are you protecting? What about my fundamental right to be safe? No, that doesn't, you don't care about that one? Okay, cool.
As you say, I've followed all the rules. I've followed them in advance. I've disposed of my assets before I became Prime Minister. And have a blind trust. I have conflict of interest screens. I work only for the people of Canada.
Yeah, right.
I work only for the people of Canada. Je travaille seulement pour des Canadiens.
Call me crazy, but I don't feel confident in that at all. I have like a pit in my stomach over it, actually, the more we learn. And speaking of which, here is Pierre Poilievre absolutely destroying some of the people that Mark Carney has spent his entire life working for.
No to the WEF, whereas he's heavily integrated into that. Why do you have such strong feelings on that? And how does that impact everyday Canadians?
I just think it's an organization that has a very top-down mentality. I don't believe in top-down. I don't believe that there's this sort of group of globe-trotting experts that can tell us how to live our lives, that can, who can tell us which industry should go up and which should go down, what cars we should drive and what words we should speak and how our money should be spent. I really believe in distributed decision-making, personal freedom, letting people live their own lives and chart their own course. The other thing I've found is that, I've been around politics a long time, so I've met a lot of these people who are considered part of the elite, and I talk to them and I ask them questions, and then I go out to my constituency and I talk to truck drivers and mechanics and farmers, and I find the latter group is actually smarter. Now, they don't use all the same fancy language, but if you ask them just sort of nuts and bolts type questions, they're smarter. Like, Mr. Carney, for example, told us in 2021, don't worry about inflation. There won't be any inflation. We should print even more money. Well, he was totally wrong, like utterly wrong. It's a jaw-dropping mistake, and with huge human consequences. In my riding, when the money printing started, the quantitative easing, I think farmers and small business owners saying, there's going to be inflation, there's going to be inflation.
Yeah.
So how is it these people who don't attend lectures and don't go to international summits knew more about the real functioning of the economy than all of these so-called experts? What I think is we need a government that's humble and leaves people their money, their freedom of choice, control of their lives, and lets them make their own decisions. And that's my philosophical difference with that group. And it's I believe in the common people.
The choice couldn't be clearer. And we're going to dive into that even more so in tomorrow's episode. I would have loved to talk about that today, but I'm trying to keep these videos short enough that you'll watch. So we'll talk about that in tomorrow's episode. But truly, this election, it's either you're going to end up with a government who wants more control, or you're going to end up with a government who wants less government and therefore less control so that you can just live your life. They're going to take care of the books and the economy as they should. They're not going to be as involved in the personal goings on and in trying to change behaviors because one of their investors or one of their friends is, benefits from selling. What the heck were those stupid things called? The heater thingy-mabobs in your house. I can't remember what those were called right now. Heat pumps. There we go. Because one of your friends benefits from heat pumps, or because your company invested in heat pumps. It's just so obvious, and yet people are still so stuck on what we discussed at the beginning of this episode regarding Trump. And it's devastating. It's really devastating to see the impact of that. And I can proudly, confidently say, as somebody who worked in media as a broadcaster for 11 years, I've never worked for the CBC, but I've been on CBC before, among other really mainstream channels. I would love to see the CBC get defunded. And it's not because I want people to lose their jobs, but it's because they're lying and because they're presenting biased news as though it's unbiased, which makes people trust you. And you're not trustworthy when you do that. It's a lie. I'm Jasmine Lane. This is Over Opinionated. Thank you so much for watching.
That was so good. I do have one more video to share because it's important. It's by Viva Fry. And the title is No Journalism in Canada. Montreal police beat and arrest female journalist for documenting a rally.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is officially Carney's Canada. Good afternoon, everybody. Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler, from my home office doing something of a pre-recorded in-studio car vlog, because if you don't know what's going on in Canada, you're going to know what's going on in Canada. It's an election cycle, and it is, by all accounts, Mark Carney of the Liberal Party versus Pierre Poilievre of the, dare I say, so-called Conservative Party. I'm not going to spend too much time ragging on Pierre, except to remark on his silence as at the time of shooting this vlog, but I'm going to rail against the Liberals and Mark Carney, or as I like to call him, Carnage Carney, Commie Carney, whatever you want to call him. This is Mark Carney's Canada, where the police in Montreal, and I will accept some jurisdictional distinctions here, that's not the RCMP, it's the Sûreté de Québec in Quebec, violently assaulting a journalist, a female journalist, if that matters for you people who play identity politics, an independent female journalist, violently assaulting, arresting, and hospitalizing a female journalist. On the scene, recording it, and thank goodness that she was there, was Alexa Lavoie of Rebel News, who was involved in the melee. You're not going to believe what's going on with this. Well, I'll probably play a bit of the clip right now so that you can see, just get a gist for what's going on, and then we're going to bring in Alexa Lavoie, who you know, or if you don't know her, you're going to know her now, to explain what the heck happened.
Mais voyons donc! Mais voyons, vous êtes malade!
Right, and now bringing in Alexa, at the risk of asking the obvious, how goes the battle?
But first of all, it was the SPVM that was involved. It's different than the SQ, that is Sûreté du Québec.
Explain what the DSPVM is. That's Ville de Montréal.
It's the Service of Police of Montreal. So since almost more than a year and a half, they are not acting on what we are seeing every weekend and sometimes multiple times during the week. There is anti-Israel march taking place, sometimes with violence, vandalism, harassment, assault, everything that you can see in those protests with like hate speech, obviously. But since the beginning, nobody is doing anything. There is no consequences for those people. And so me and Natasha, why we went there on Sunday, it's because they used to pray at the end of their protest. And this time they choose the Basilica Notre Dame, that is one of the most known church in Montreal for the whole history. And it's not the first time they are targeting that church, especially during a Sunday. And so we went over there about 2 hours and a half after the start of the protest, and they were in the whole Montreal, and we were just peacefully walking next to the protest on the sidewalk and just filming their speech, their chant. It's public interest what is happening right now. And so no other media were there only us documenting what was happening. At one moment, when they were walking towards the church, they recognized us and they started saying, Zionists are here, fascists are here, and started chanting and targeting us with their chant, pointing us. And so some individual felt emboldened to come to surround us, to assault us, and to intimidate us. That's what happened. And we always kept a distance with the protest. And one of the person that was leading during that protest is Iyad Abu Ahmed. He's really known. We saw him, like, I think he's involved with one of the mosques here in Montreal. And I remember in one of his speech during one of the protests that I recorded myself, he said that October 7, 2023 was a victory. And so I wanted to ask him, first of all, what did he say that? Why he continued to chant anti-Semitic slogan? Also, he did post on his Instagram before, and I did document everything. The paraglider picture after the October 7, 2023. And so my goal was just questioning him and just say 2 or 3 questions, and that's it. But I didn't expect that he will start yelling at me as aggressive as that and call me a genocidal, a baby killer, and everything that you can expect, like as insult. It was difficult. Anyway, at that moment, the police came to me, grabbed my arm, pushed me behind, and that police officer was say to me, I know for you work for Rebel News, isn't it? And continue to push me, and I keep saying to him, you can't touch me. Stop touching me. And they pulled us on the side. Natasha went on the side as they asked. And that same police officer that was really physical with me suddenly started engaging with Natasha. And he's the same guy that started to arrest Natasha for assault because they were trying to engage with each other, and Natasha was just simply asking, can you control the mob? Can you just do something? And she was mainly calm in the situation where we got assaulted multiple times, and they were saying to me, I would paraphrase because I don't know exactly what they say, but that we were the reason, and that we were creating an event, and we were provoking the crowd, and our president was provoking them. And so I was like, this is unnormal. I'm a journalist. I'm here to do my job as documenting, and it's a public interest protest. It's happening since a year and a half. Other media are not there for doing the job that he should do. And at that moment, I turned around and I saw Natasha being grabbed and violently thrown into the stair. That is really dangerous when you throw someone into the stair, because the neck or the face, or you don't know where she's gonna be hurt. So I saw them twisting her arm, and I was like, oh my God, you're crazy. What are you doing as a woman? I stopped that.
Let me stop you there just for 1 second, actually, because the woman part is relevant. It's you, Natasha, who's an independent journalist. It's Natasha Montreal on Twitter. Who else is with you? You got your cameraman?
No, just me and Natasha.
And you're holding your own camera?
Yeah, and I have my 360. It's why I have now all the footage of what really happened.
Okay, and so no bodyguards or nothing. It's just 2 female journalists.
Yes.
Attending and documenting this protest. And for those who don't know, this is at Basilica Notre Dame in Montreal, Old Montreal, where there's the square in between the Aldred building and in Old Montreal, right in front of the church.
That happened in the street towards the Basilica, because they were marching back.
They were marching towards a basilica, a Catholic religious building. And so this is a use of force. This is a show of force. There's so many mosques in Quebec and in Ontario, all over Canada, that they could have respectfully went to, but no, they had to go and target, again, another religious community or group, whatever you want to call it. and show that they are the ones that are going to overtake it. These people that are part of the protest, they are the ones that are instigating events. These people that are protesting and praying to Allah on Catholic grounds, on Christian, like a friggin' church. Like, how insulting is that? And if we would do that, Christians, if we were to do that in mosques and refuse to wear the headdress, all of this stuff, and then prayed as Catholics, again, this would be front page media and stuff like that, and we would be the ones arrested and removed forcefully and etc. And so they're the ones that were causing the events, trying to escalate and elicit emotional response in everyday Canadians, and all she was doing was reporting it. And you'll see too, like, she's gone through a lot.
For doing that prayer that I was able to film the prayer. Same if they came towards me again for intimidate me. And the police that time, they saw that.
And when are they doing it? They're doing it during our religious holiday period. You know, like right around Easter, of course, right? Just like the Trans Day of Visibility last year, it was right on Easter.
I didn't provoke because I was really far.
Not last year, might have been the year before. But anyway, you get the point.
And they say, oh, this time you're right. You're not provoking. They are coming to you. I say, no. I was right both times. It's just you don't want to see the reality that we didn't provoke.
And when they are putting their hands on you to remove you, I mean, some people are going to say they're doing it for your own protection. The bottom line, they are removing you, but while they're also telling you, I know you, you're from Rebel News, you're a journalist at Rebel News.
Yes. And I didn't actually introduce myself. I didn't say my name yet. He just say, I know who you are. You work for Rebel News. And it's what Natasha said to me. They were telling the same thing to her. They were telling to Natasha, you work for Rebel. And she was like, no, I'm not working for Rebel. Natasha never worked with us. Natasha worked as an independent journalist. She worked with freelance for different media. And yesterday, she was mainly working with U.S. independent media. So she never take a dime of us. It's just like I met her.
No, but it's as if that would change anything. And for what it's worth, everybody should know you are the same Rebel News journalist who was shot in the leg point blank with the tear gas cartridge by the RCMP at the Ottawa protest.
I'm also the same journalist who got attacked by Antifa / Islamogauchists who actually attacked me at Square Victoria, painted all the way down, and the police looked and did nothing.
I remember that. That was when the guy had a spray paint canister thing that was spraying like a hose of paint, blue paint on you.
You should be in jail.
Look at these police. Look at their dog. These dogs saw me being like paint. They saw me trying to grab the painting, and you know what they say? They say, let it go. Let it go.
Just move out. I'm helping you. I'm telling you to leave.
You're telling me to leave after I get aggressed, and you don't do anything. You don't give like any tickets. You're not giving like look.
You understand? We're only
The video starts with Natasha being spun around, flung around, and there's a moment where she's looking at the camera with like a look of bewilderment and terror in her eyes. Then they throw her down on the stairs.
They'll go after women, Canadian women, who are just reporting this. Again, like, that two-tier justice system is disgusting in Ottawa. Unfortunately, there's a lot of hero cops out there. I'm not dismissing that, but a large portion of them now, especially in this area, they are fully captured.
Twisting her arms
and
back.
I know that personally, and I know that with a lot of other people that I know that are literally just sharing the truth and trying to expose the truth.
Two cops pulling her in
so we're doing your jobs for you. You're welcome.
Directions. And while we're going to see that, the question that some people have by way of context, I put it in quotes, what happened before that led up to that? Now, I happen to know, as at the time of shooting this interview, tell the world what had happened leading up to that, in case anybody wants the additional context, because in the video, the cops say voie de fait, which is French for assault. How did Natasha allegedly assault a police officer?
As I mentioned, the police officer were already physical and violent, kind of aggressive towards me. And so he did kind of the same. So he was always walking towards Natasha and more and more and more. So Natasha was like kind of like backing off, and she was like, "Stop touching me," because she kind of mentioned that with his belt, it was like kind of like pushing her a little bit on the back. And at one point, you will be able to see on the video, he put his hand on Natasha, and Natasha just removed his hand and said, "Do not touch me," something like that. And at that moment, he grabbed his hand and he said, "Assault," because she dared to touch his hand, to remove the hand from her, because you don't touch. And it was like, you will see on the video, it's a place that usually you do not touch.
Not unless it's your wife. It's a woman's hip. So he's this cop who's not arresting or detaining either of you, putting their hands on you, but putting his hands on Natasha's hip, and then she says, "You don't touch me," pushes his hand off, and then they went ballistic on her. And we've seen the video. The world has seen the video, and I will continue to needle Pierre Poilievre for being silent on this. It's early. Maybe he hasn't seen it yet. I have sent it out to people on the Conservative Party, their team. And so if they remain silent for any longer period of time, and then it'll become culpable silence. What happened to Natasha that you know of as of the time of recording this?
And by the way, I don't know if you saw in Ottawa, some of the protesters, they spat on the police. Did they get arrested? I would be curious to know, like, if they have criminal charges on them for doing that. But at the time, I know that Natasha went to the hospital last night after all the adrenaline went down. She started to have like pain everywhere, and she waited all night long, and she's still at the hospital doing all sorts of tests to know like what physically damaged she got from this violent arrest. And I know that you can hear, because she had like a camera on her neck, you can hear her saying, "You hurt me, you hurt me, you hurt my arm, you hurt my ribs." And it's not like if she didn't say that to them, that she was hurt when they were doing that violent arrest. And when she was on the ground waiting, they were like shoveling her like really violently, putting her like to sit down. And I was like, come on, like, she's not an animal. Like, stop that.
It was three men on one woman. They were pulling her in opposite directions, twisting her arms in opposite directions. It's egregious. And anybody who wants to try to rationalize this is an idiot in their own right. Sorry to cut you off. And yeah, so her shoulders hurt. No head injury that anybody knows of as of yet?
I don't know yet. So I'm still waiting from her. She's exhausted. She's really she's the perfect citizen. She doesn't have any record, anything. She's the perfect like citizen, and now she's really panicking. Like, it's normal.
She's facing. Have they pressed criminal charges, or have they specified that they were going to charge her criminally?
I saw the paper that she received. She needs to appear in court. She has what I saw on the paper. I saw voie de fait and obstruction.
This is like they literally beat you into a hospital and then charge you for crimes. This is insanity. And anybody who's saying, Viva, this is Quebec, this isn't the rest of Canada. You look at what's going on in Ottawa and the mass protests they're having in Ottawa, where it's more of the same. You got aerial footage showing, you may want to call them, pro-Palestinian supporters, call it whatever you want. It is a mob of protesters who have been allowed to wreak havoc on the streets. And this is what we're seeing in Quebec from the police in Quebec. This is what we're seeing in Ottawa. And the absence of a response from the police in Ottawa, they're enabling and empowering this mob while arresting and assaulting female journalists if, identity politics matters.
And how can you assault someone when you have like a phone in one hand trying to film, and you have one hand and you are a female? There is no point there. Like, she was not a threat. It was kind of making her an example for everybody who try, I don't know, to attend to those protests, to not do it. But that would not stop us, because come on, it's been a year and a half. There is some people who are traumatized by all the harassment and all the threat they receive. I don't know if you saw the rise of anti-Semitism that is happening in Montreal. This just this needs to stop.
I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon, given immigration policies and given not only the lax enforcement of the law, but the empowerment of these mobs. When I was in Montreal over the summer, it was like, yeah, nobody went near the encampments because they would have been assaulted and the police would have done nothing. Am I going crazy, or were the police laughing as they were assaulting Natasha?
I need to review the footage. I would say that I didn't really sleep much, and but I would say I hope not. But if it's that the case, of course, I will show it in my my extensive report.
Excellent. And you're going to be doing an extensive report on this. It'll probably come out after I shoot this. This is just a quick update for the world to know what the hell is going on in Canada. Mm-hmm. Alexa, where can people find you? Where are they going to find that broadcast?
So if people want to support the lawsuit, well, no, not the lawsuit, but like the defense of Natasha, there is a website that is savenatasha.com. And also on urbannews.com, I will have my extensive report. And also on my Twitter, I will put the full report on my Twitter at The Voice Alexa.
Amazing. Alexa, stick around. We'll say our proper goodbyes. Right now, I'm going to say this. If you like what I do, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, exercise, eat healthy, talk to people in real life, understand what's going on in Canada. And while I will be critical of Pierre, I will be continually critical of Pierre until the man grows a political spine. But right now, all of the ire should be directed at the Liberal Party, what they have enabled throughout Canada. If you vote for the Liberals, you are an idiot. With that said, Viva Fry, like, share, subscribe. Enjoy the day. Peace out, people.
And same to everyone else. I hope you enjoy your day.